The United States is a constitutional republic. That means that its Constitution sets the limits and the guidelines for the federal government. The Constitution separates the federal government into three separate branches with their own duties and responsibilities. The three branches of government are the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch creates and makes the laws. The executive branch enforces and carries out the law, and the judicial branch evaluates and interprets the law. Congress includes the House of Representatives and the Senate. The House of Representatives has 435 seats. That's one seat per district based on population, and the Senate has 100 seats with 2 seats per state for all 50 states. The House of Representatives is the lower chamber of Congress. Elected every 2 years, they propose bills and resolutions for the approval of both the Senate and the President. Leadership includes the Speaker of the House, who presides over the members, and floor leaders, which include party majority leaders, minority leaders, and whips who assist them. The Senate is the upper chamber of Congress. Elected every 6 years, they pass or turn down legislation from the House of Representatives and monitor the executive branch. Leadership in the Senate includes the Vice President of the United States, and like the House, they also have floor leaders, which include party majority leaders, minority leaders, and whips who assist them. The President of the United States of America. Elected every 4 years, the President is a head of state, a diplomat, the director of the executive branch, and the commander-in-chief of the United States military. His administration includes the Vice President, who is predetermined during the election, and various cabinet members, including secretaries, directors, and other staffers that oversee various agencies and departments. The presidency is much more than just one man. For example, the very first president, George Washington, had 4 secretaries: the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of War. The Secretary of the Navy, Army, and Air Force were all added later, which is now all part of the Department of Defense. In modern times, the presidency has grown to up to 24 agencies, all with their own secretaries, directors, or chief of staff. This includes the Director of National Intelligence, Veterans Affairs, Department of Commerce, Labor, Energy, Homeland Security, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Vice President, Secretary of the Interior, Agriculture, Education, Environmental Protection Agency, Housing and Urban Development, Health and Human Services, Transportation, the Small Business Administration, Chief of Staff of the White House, the Ambassador to the UN, the President's Trade Representative, and the Office of Management and Budget. And the Department of Defense also includes the Joint Chief of Staffs of the entire military, which means the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, and the Coast Guard all fall under the wing of the President as he serves as the Commander-in-Chief. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. The Constitution gave us 6 justices. Currently, we have 9 judges residing on the court. Whenever there is a vacancy on the court, a sitting president may appoint a new member to the Supreme Court. However, this appointee must be approved and confirmed by the United States Senate. This position is a lifetime appointment. That means unless they die, retire, or are impeached by the Congress, they are members for life. A Chief Justice presides over its members, and the court sits, speaks, and votes in order of seniority. Now it's time to talk about checks and balances. This is a series of vetoes, rulings, and impeachments. that establish the boundaries and safeguards necessary to both maintain stability and prevent tyranny. We call it the separation of powers. The Congress, the President, and the Supreme Court all have the power to disapprove, veto, or impeach one another if they violate the Constitution. Congress can disapprove the nominees and appointees of the President, veto and impeach both the President and the Supreme Court, and amend the Constitution. Whereas the President can veto and call on the Congress, appoint Supreme Court justices, and issue pardons. And the Supreme Court can rule executive orders unconstitutional, rule laws as unconstitutional, and oversee the impeachment process. These are the preventative safeguards that keep all three branches in check. The founders designed it this way so that one branch of government would not overpower the other two, which would lead to tyranny or the monarchy that we declared our independence from. In summary, the Constitution prevents the federal government from becoming a centralized government to guard the people from tyranny, and gave us a government that was for the people and by the people.